Hello, Wake Up New Zealand, Sakey speaking. Would you have believed in 2019 if someone had told you that our country would have closed borders, people would be isolated, people would be mandated to be jabbed, people would lose all these jobs, there would be all these restrictions and controls and regulations? And amongst that, decriminalisation of abortion, where abortion can happen up to birth, sex selection, failed abortion fails, baby left to die on the hospital table, no pain relief. Did you ever think that New Zealand would have the worst abortion laws in the world? Did you think that assisted suicide, euthanasia, would come about in New Zealand? And they put in there that word choice. That's a psycho plan to put in that word choice, because there's some very dangerous concept round of end of life choice. But they won't tell you about that, because they are the only source of truth. So I hear people saying, oh, well, the banks are being destroyed. This is the end of some of the banks. Wake up, people. The banks are consolidating. They're merging like corporations merge, and they become bigger and stronger. So also I've heard about cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, etc. And I know very little about that. But what I do know is some of it will be illegal and some of it will be legal, will be okay by the state. But that is okay by the state will be regulated and censored by the state. That's how it works. So what else have we got going on? We have a parliament that makes these legislations like the waka jumping bill, and then they go waka jumping to empower the Maori Party. We talk about public-private partnerships, and that's co-governance. This is corporations in bed with the state, where corporations influence the policy. And who gets rewarded? And it damn sure ain't the public, because the public always pays. So has anyone gone down that path where these banks and councils are saying, measure your own footprint, your own carbon footprint? They're doing it in businesses. So what's next? Are they going to tell you, no, you cannot use your car today because you've used too many emissions? What are they going to do? Come on, people. This is all about control. You see the 17 Global Development Goals. Think of that as a panel of 17 knobs that control your life. That's what that is about. So what happens globally on the global stage is filtered down to the local stage. Our country and other national countries, other UN member states. And if one starts to drift away from the target, then more money is thrown at it, more power, and they come back on board again. All those people, all those members, political cronies in the toilet bowl of Wellington know exactly this. They have violated our health system. They have violated the education system. Look what's happened there. We've got multi-layers of cultural Marxism. we've got in the health, jabbed, unjabbed, wear mask, don't wear mask, gender, not gender, heterosexual, cisgender, the whole class system, critical theory. And time again, I see these academic papers that says we must use critical theory. Cultural Marxism, that is socialism. That is socialism on steroids. That is communism. And in this country, they have never let go of communism. We now have, in 2019, the new Communist Party that's infiltrated the nurses' union, that has infiltrated other unions, that is out there in the community making out they are good, they are looking after the community. No, they are not. They are gathering supporters for the Communist Party. That is what they are doing. Watch the sheep, the wolf in sheep's clothing, because they are out there. So people, do your research. And I will keep on opening this up. So you have Baron Clark, who wrote that book, Fear, that is in the government archives, by the way, the National Archives, who now writes for mainstream media, the propaganda machine, is part of the disinformation scheme of the Workers' Party New Zealand. Well, let's think about them, shall we? This Baron Clark, the supporter, active supporter of the Palestinian Liberal Front, where 4 out of 5 eyes, not New Zealand, call the Palestinian Liberal Front a designated terrorist organisation. You go to UN and they will show you, it's documented there, where the Palestinian Liberal Front used children as suicide bombers. And Baron Clark has supported that. 2011, the queering of schools in New Zealand. I know, it's like a comic strip. The queer Avengers in Wellington who communicate with Grant Robertson. But it really happened. You go to Te Papa, you go to the archives, you will see the school plaque. 2011, the queering of schools in New Zealand. Queering is a mask word for cisgender, transgender, whatever you want to call it. And it's all cultural Marxism, and it's right through our schools. Now, if I was a parent now, I would not have my kids in that sort of education. It's not education, it's dumbing down education. I would not have my child in a state school right now. That's something people can do about it. That could be a solution. There are lots of children that don't want to go back to school. So what about health? Because it's education and health that's being very targeted right now. What are we going to do? I mean, we have the CA plus WHO pandemic treaty being introduced into the 77th World Health Assembly in May 2024. Helen Clark, co-chair of the working group at the WHA, who represent the WHO. And what you get is, we want to strengthen the WHO more and more and more. We want them to have control in a One Health framework. What is a One Health framework? Human, animal, wild, domestic, plant, land, the whole ecosystem. That's what they want control of. we may not be able to do anything about. Then, that on the local level, who can take control of this? We've got a broken House of Representatives. They are crackpots. What have we got left? We've got the people. This is what we have. We have the people. And it's up to us not to leave our children, our grandchildren, our great-grandchildren, the battle that will come. If we can't do something now, then shame on us. As I say, I can keep on giving you information from hours upon hours of research. But that is not the solution. You have the information. When I was working around crisis intervention, suicides, homicides, assaults, etc., one thing that I really believed in was a good resource of information, to share that, to give people the opportunity of knowledge, whether they want to take it on board, they can choose to take it on board. Because if victims of crime had already lost their choices, they had their choices taken away from them. So give them the choice. Walk beside them. You cannot lift them up. That doesn't help anyone. You walk beside them in the knowledge. You support them, but you don't pick them up. Walking beside, caring, loving, respecting. And if you're that reliant on your cell phone that everywhere you go, you've got to keep on it, then God help you. Because what we've done is we've become a society that relies on convenience, separating ourselves from face-to-face contact. And we need to have face-to-face contact. And I would encourage communities to come face-to-face with each other, if it's only for a coffee. We don't have to leave it all up to the voices of freedom. Every person counts. The people count. We are the self-empowerment of New Zealand, not a broken House of Representatives. They are broken. So it's up to us. And we can't just sit back and let that happen. That would be a terrible shame. That would be shame on us. So come on, people. Get out there in the community. Have coffee groups. Let people share their stories. Don't isolate, because a next variant will come along. And it's then we are going to have to say, no, enough is enough, and no. We don't have to explain ourselves. We don't have to lose human contact. Once you isolate, that's it. Because you become compliant to fear. And when it comes to the sleight of hand, oh, this is going on over here, the mainstream media, the propaganda machine will take you over there so you don't see what's happening here. This is very important stuff. This is what they've done with Trump. This is what they do with those people that you are supposed to be listening to, and then they attack them. Russia, for instance. If you heard the last speech that Putin gave at Davos, he was saying He is not going to be ruled by this global one world system. And wait a bit, October 2019, there was China and there was Russia, and they went to the UN with a 3-page document. They wanted to take control of the internet. So now what do you have now? You have the Middle East saying, oh, we've had it with Joe Biden. We're not going to supply him with the oil like we did before. Oh no, Iran, China, Russia, they're all collaborating now. And America is in debt for trillions. So now, the nail in the coffin. They either, we call America our ally, but you know, they've done some dreadful stuff. And I'm sitting on the fence here and just watching. I don't know half of what many people know, but I'm trying to take a simple view of it. So people, you are the solution. You have more power than you think you have. You need the numbers. You need lots of numbers. If you can't do this for yourself, at least do it for the children. Look what they're stuck in. What do you think is going to come out of all this sexuality teaching of our children? I tell you what you're going to get. And I hate to think about this because you get introvert and extrovert when children are sexually groomed, and they are being sexually groomed. The introvert, well, they were sinking themselves. I call it the looking out of the window. The extrovert will act out, and you will have more sexual offenders, and that's what will happen. So wake up, New Zealand, and you parents, you find out what's happening in that school. If you don't want to go there on your own, get other parents together, get grandparents with you. You insist, you want to know what's going on in your child's classroom. You're not a fly on the wall in that classroom. You do not know what's going on. Children, young children, 5 years old, 6 years old, shouldn't be talking about masturbation and pornography. There should be no drag queen shows. That's adult fetish nightclub stuff for adults, not for children. Wake up, New Zealand. What has this come to? This is insane. We have to speak up, and we have to speak up with a lot of voices, because when there's only a few, those few are targeted. Lots of voices. Come on, moral courage, wake up.